before we start the meeting. Is that okay with you guys?
Sure.
Yes,
Sure.
I always stand up.
So
I
do
mean, I do, but then,
She means before.
is that okay?
You're already standing.
Yes, I'm already standing.
All right.
Where's your cutout? You need a little cutout of yourself.
Meeting's now live on YouTube.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay, Peggy, we're ready when you are.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good to see everyone. If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
for which
it
it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and
and
justice.
justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Peggy Bossy,
Here.
Paul Godwin,
Here.
Chris Euster,
Here.
Karen Kellums,
Here.
Dan Downey.
Here.
This meeting is a meeting of the Deer Park Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, community input is being suspended for this meeting.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving tonight's meeting agenda, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'd like to jump down to agenda item number 11. I'd like a motion for executive session at this time.
So move.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of moving to executive session to discuss the compensation of a public employee or official, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We are heading to executive session. We will be back.
Thank you. You're back. And we're also live on YouTube.
Karen went swimming.
Yeah, I think she did.
Well, let me get my little session thing ready to go and you may do your job.
I don't see Melissa and I don't see Karen. Are they there?
Melissa's on her way back in.
Okay,
There she is there.
there she is.
Oh,
And,
well, we are on live. When it gets to board things, I have something to share. Don't
Okay.
forget. Any,
I just sent Karen a message to make sure she's doing okay.
All right.
Yay, she's back.
welcome. Did you take a swim?
I kept entering the wrong number.
All right, we are ready to regroup, continue with our meeting. If I could have roll call, please.
Peggy Bossy,
Here.
Paul Godwin,
Here.
Chris Euster,
Here.
Karen Kellum.
Here.
Dan Downey.
Here.
All right, we are moving on to agenda item number 6, district recognitions and donations.
Yeah, we have one donation this evening from Bridge of Hope Church, and they have done this before, and several other community members have done this, but they wanted to contribute $500 to go towards student lunch balances at the discretion of our food service director. So I want to thank Bridge of Hope Church, and I'll be asking you guys to approve that when we get to the superintendent's recommendations.
Fantastic. All right, treasurer recommendations.
I just have one thing. It's the recommendation to establish an account. This is for the Bureau of Workers' Comp Safety Grant Funds. This is something that Stacy Orsa worked very hard for. This is for the security cameras and the window security film at Amity. So we have now received those funds successfully. We just need to have an account to be able to track those funds.
So move.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the establishment of the BWC Safety Grant Fund, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to reports of the superintendent. Hold on, he's muted.
Okay. I'm back. We do have one report this evening. It's our semi-annual bullying report, and obviously we were gone for over about half the semester here because of the COVID-19. But we had one incident reported at senior high school, and zero incidents reported at Amity, and 0 incidents confirmed at the senior high school, and then obviously 0 at Amity. That's a little bit lower than typical, but we were also out of school quite a bit of time. So that's the end of my superintendent report.
Anybody have any questions or comments or? All right, moving on to recommendations of the superintendent.
Okay, thank you. My first recommendation is to accept the donation in the amount of $500 from Bridge of a Hope Church to be used towards student lunch balances at the discretion of the Director of Food Services.
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
I think that's amazing that they do that.
Agreed. All those in favor of approving the $500 donation from Bridge of Hope Church to be used toward student lunch balances at the discretion of the Director of Food Services, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the district school fees for the 2020-2021 school year as attached.
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Was there much increase, Jeff?
There was zero increase from
Perfect.
this year to next year.
Okay.
I have a question, Jay, about the marching band camp, the band camp, whether it's held or not. That doesn't look like we're going to be able to hold an overnight camp like we have in the past.
Yeah, as of right now, we're not permitted. We just got that directive from, I actually asked the question, emailed it to the Hamilton County Health Department over the weekend on Sunday, I believe, got the response yesterday, sent it to Mr. Bauer. Right now they're not permitting overnight camps. So again, it's kind of what the governor said today about schools, that just have to wait and see what happens.
So that could potentially be a different cost.
Yes, that could potentially be a different cost or no cost at all.
Yeah, right. And
There's
depending
some
on,
substantial costs there with some of the things.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Correct.
good call, Paul.
Any other questions? All those in favor of approving the district school fees for 2020-2021, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to accept $500 from the, I almost said the College of Mount St. Joe. That's what it was when I was there. From Mount St. Joseph University for the mentor year teacher stipend.
So moved.
Move.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Do we have somebody coming?
This was for this past school year.
Okay, then I know who that was.
It was for Jane Tuckerman.
There we go.
All right, any other questions? All those in favor of accepting $500 from Mount St. Joseph University for the mentor teacher stipend, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the resolution for services with Butler County Educational Service Center for the 2020-2021 school year.
So move.
second,
Questions or discussion?
We do this every year.
Yes, this is our, I believe it's either our second or third year that we actually, Mary Lynn Bierman was our food service supervisor for Deer Park, employed by Deer Park. She was hired by Butler County ESC, saving our district about $30,000 a year, if I remember correctly, by doing a shared service model with Butler County Educational Service Center. So I think it's our second or third year with this model. There was zero change in service, and it's worked out for us, and I think for her as well.
Any other questions? All those in favor of approving the food service contract for the 2020-2021 school year with Butler County ESC, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the resolution for services with Warren County Educational Service Center.
so move.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the resolution for services with Warren County Educational Service Center for the 2020-2021 school year, please signify by stating aye.
Aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the following policies. Policy 1520, 2464, 3120, 3120, 04, 3120, 05, 3120, 08. I don't know why I'm reading them all off to you. But I'll take it since I've already
I'm
said it.
watching them as you read them.
4120, 4120, 08, 4124, 4162, 4433, 5460, 5460, 02, 6107, and 7440.
so
So
move.
move. Second.
Questions or discussion?
Jenny and Jay did an outstanding job on those.
Yeah, as usual.
Yes, I mean, really, it is.
Thank you.
Excellent. All those in favor of approving the policies as attached, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I do have some personnel this evening. My first recommendation in personnel is the employment of Joe Schlee for the 2020-2021 school year as the junior senior high school security officer.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Joe, Jay, any comment on that with him leaving and coming back, I guess?
Yeah, Joe had left about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through the school year
Right.
last year. And, I think obviously school security officer from street police officer is a big change. It's a big transition. I know Joe loves the kids. Joe continued to come to all the basketball games and other activities even after he had left us. I think, like I said, I think he learned a lot. I think he reflected. He was also taking care of his elderly father at the time, which was another big stress on him. I think he was the primary caregiver. And, unfortunately, his father had passed away. So he is no longer doing that. And I think he's ready. He came to talk to Mr. Hartley when this position opened and said, he's ready to come back and would love to come back if we would have him. And again, we left on good terms. I think it was just a stressor for him at the time. And Tom Salmon filled in the gap and did a nice job for the year and a little bit that we had him. And so Joe Schlee's going to come back.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving Joe Schlee as the junior senior high school security officer for effective July 1 of 2020, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the one-time stipend for the 1920 school year for Jane Tuckerman.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the one-time stipend for Jane Tuckerman as a mentor teacher, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the additional pay for the 1920 and then the 2020-21 school year for Hannah Lane.
So moved.
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Just
Is
so
this for the
everybody,
Pam,
yes,
Pam's mural?
just so everybody is aware, we hired Hannah to create the mural that's in the media center library at Amity Elementary. And Pam's family, the Heidel family, actually donated funds to be able to do this. And so we are paying Hannah through those funds, but we, as she puts finishing touches on it, we have to be able to pay her from this school year and also whatever's remaining from next school year. So that's where it's coming from. But the mural is beautiful. It looks great. Hannah has done a fantastic job. She's so talented. We're lucky to have her.
Any other questions or discussion? I think we need to put out another story once the full thing is complete.
I would agree.
Share it again. All those in favor of approving the additional pay for Hannah Lane for the Pam Heidel mural completion, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next recommendation is to approve the extended contract days for 2021 school year of Betty Jung, Betty Hollander, and Diane Daly.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the extended contract days for the 2020-2021 school year for Betty Jung, Betty Hollander, and Diane Daly, please signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? I abstain. Motion carries.
Thank you. And my next recommendation is to approve the amendments of the administrative director and supervisor contracts for the 2021 school year for the administrators attached.
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the amendment of administration director and supervisor contracts for the 2020-2021 contract year, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any
Do I need
opposed?
to abstain?
Yes, you do. Motion carries.
Okay, and that is the end of my recommendations.
Thank you very much. We are on to agenda item number 10, board discussion.
I have a couple items if it's okay if I start.
Sure.
Mary Jo Scalzo, Board Development work with Mary Jo. I spoke with Mary Jo last week and she is eager to work with us again. I'm going to send you guys an email. We did this earlier, but then COVID-19 struck and everything kind of, went to the side. But I'll send you guys an email, probably similar to what I did before, just asking for some dates that you guys are available. I know Mary Jo, let me check on this real quick. I believe she has something in August or the end of July. I'll give you the details. I'll let you know, but we have that coming up. The second thing I wanted to talk about is our public advocacy school network group. We met as a big Ohio group a few weeks ago, probably a month ago now. And I met with Corky earlier, was the end of last week, and pitched the idea. I would really like to get State Representative Miranda, who is a state representative for our area, and Senator Lewis Blessings to the table to meet with our group and really talk about things that are going on at the state level, give us an idea of how schools might be impacted by the COVID-19 crisis, and then just give our group an opportunity to have their ear. I know I met with Senator Blessings a few weeks ago, just in person, and he was very personable and willing to meet with us. And State Representative Miranda emailed me just to congratulate our graduates 2 weeks ago and said she'd be glad to take part in anything. She actually talked about taking part in this board meeting, but I think there were some conflicts that didn't enable her to do that. But anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up because I know, we started that initiative, and I think it's very important to keep that thing going and to continue to engage our community and our constituents. And we hope to build this ring a little bit and expand our involvement of our community in this group. So those are coming down the pipe for me.
I would like to say I noticed that we have some athletics things going on up there. I heard there were 42 or 43 kids that came out for football last night. 40 girls came out for volleyball today, and they seem to be following the rules. I think the rules are rather strict, but I think you can loosen them up later. And I love the signs in front of the high school.
I do too.
Yeah.
Those looked awesome.
Yeah, just so you know, we tried to figure out a way with Wickshire that we could get the signs to the kids. And so what we did is transferred them from Wickshire's front yard to our front yard, and the kids are now welcome to come up and grab their signs when they want.
Wickshire was so amazing. I wish there was some way. I mean, that's definitely a true liaison family type thing. I don't know how we give them a great thank you for it. I don't even know how to say that.
Yeah, they did a great job for us, and they were just fantastic. And it was really cool. I mean, that partnership evolved because they took the initiative. They said, hey, we want to partner with you. We want to support your seniors. And, it was amazing what they did. And I was unsure of it at first, what was all going to go down. But when they started airing those videos of their seniors and some of their workers, employees talking about our kids, I thought it was really cool. It was an awesome gesture. And again, like you said, Chris, I don't know how we thank them enough for it.
It would be awesome if maybe some of the seniors could write a letter, either a thank you or just something to one of the residents, maybe.
Yeah.
Just think that would be neat.
I would agree. And I'll follow up on that.
And do you have you met to look at what the school year could look like, or where are you in that stage? Because people ask that all the time.
That's a great question, Chris. So our administrative team met as an expanded district leadership team last Tuesday, and we put a lot of foundational pieces in place for our reopening task force that we're going to put together. And then we met again yesterday morning, and really we were kind of waiting for the governor because we were told, the rumor was that he was going to release some more specifics yesterday, but then obviously, the riots and things like that took a little precedence over the weekend. He did mention schools today in his daily briefing. Basically, his comment was that he wants kids to be back in the classrooms in the fall, and hinted that, school districts will know best what that should look like. He said he's not there yet. He doesn't know what the big $1 million question is, what's going to happen with the virus? Is it, since they've loosened the restrictions, are we going to see a flare up again? And if they do, my guess is they're going to tighten those restrictions again. He could not be committal when it came to what those directives and recommendations for the fall are going to look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to move forward, put plans, and we have 3 plans. One for everybody coming back to school, another one for a mix of in-person schooling and distance learning, and then a third plan would be total distance learning. You know, hearing the governor say he wants to make sure he wants kids to be back in the classroom makes me feel a little bit better. But we also know there's going to be a lot of things that we have to consider when it comes to that, from social distancing to, you know, taking kids and staff temperatures to face masks. You know, how do kids transition down the hallway?
The ages of them. I mean, you
There's-
know.
The list goes on, and the
Right.
list that we've created as an administrative team is pretty exhaustive, but it's not, we know it's not everything. So we're going to be engaging, you know, our parents in some situations, probably our kids, especially at the junior, senior high level. But, you know, I've asked Shane and Mindy and Josh and Michelle to lead that for their specific buildings with support from me and from Stacy and from Patty Haddon. But, you know, I've also asked them to engage at least a parent per grade level to be a part of the task force as well. That way you have all perspectives covered from.
And do you have teachers on this?
We have teachers right now. What we're looking at probably doing is consulting our building leadership team. That's why they're there. But then there's been other teachers that have asked to be part of it, which would probably involve as well. So you know, what we did, just so you guys are aware and the public is aware, we worked backwards on this thing. We said, when is the last date, that the furthest date out that we would have to be able to make a decision and say, this is what our plan is. And in our heads, we start school August the 13th, I believe, is when teachers come back. I believe on our calendar, we put like July 15th or July 21st was the date that we knew we had to have something pretty solid in place to share with everybody. And then we work backwards from there. So we said, if we're going to be able to get something together by July 15th, when do we have to have a draft? And I think we said like July 8th. And then if we have a draft by July 8th, when do we have to, you know, how many meetings do we need to have, and when do we need to start having those meetings? So we started lining all those out. Those meetings will be happening soon. We'll be convening those task force groups soon. And we will continue to communicate as we go through that with our public, because, you know, let's say if you're not in task force, you're going to be sitting out there wondering what the heck's going on. Is there a plan in place? Are they even thinking about it? And we'll make sure that we're communicating that out to our community so those questions will be answered. We might not have the answer to the actual question, but as far as in their heads, are they thinking about it? Are they doing anything? That'll be answered.
I think that's really good, because I think there's different states are approving different plans. And if you look at it and you see, you know, they just came up today for Georgia, you know, opening up, but, you know, all kids, all teachers wear face masks, and, you know, it's kind of a panic type thing. I think when you think of little ones, you know,
Yeah.
how that goes. But then on the other hand, didn't you say Australia and Germany, they were able to go to school regular?
Well, so to that point, Chris, I'm glad you brought that up. Myself and some of the administrative team, we were on a conference call on Friday morning with the county, and they actually had teachers from Australia, from Germany. It was either Switzerland or Finland, I can't remember. They had 4 total. And
New
those,
Zealand, I think.
New Zealand, they've already started coming back to school in those places. And so we were picking their brains and listening to their stories about how their rollouts went. And it may have been New Zealand. The teacher said, our government, and I should say this, it was pretty universal that the governments were pretty clear with them about what their reopening would look like, which they said was very helpful. You know, I hope we get that, but, you know, hearing the comments today that the governor would like us back in the classrooms, which is what I wanted to hear, but it may be, you know, it's a little too early to determine what those requirements are, and getting the feeling that it might be left up to us to work with the county health commissioners. That makes me a little uneasy. I would like some clear guidance, but, you know, we always ask for local control too. So maybe this is the local control that we get. But they said this was interesting. The doctors in their country, I think it was New Zealand, had found that there wasn't really any kind of link between kids being carriers and COVID-19. You know, we know that mostly kids don't get this disease, but they said, and I've always heard that they're good carriers, and that's why we, can't really come to school. But from what I'm hearing from this person, their government has determined that kids really don't pass it along very easily. So they removed all social distancing requirements for kids. And the social distancing requirements were only in place for the adults, which if that was the case, and I'm sure this will be a good test study, a good case study for the United States and how we open in the fall. But if that's the case, it would make things much, much easier for us. It'll be much easier for us to social distance adults than it would be 25 6-year-olds. So there were a lot of interesting things that came out of that conversation that we learned and that we took notes of. That'll be part of our task force planning, but it was a good conversation.
Yeah, I was on a different one than that. And New Zealand, I do believe, Jay, had the least number of COVID-19 cases out of that group.
Yeah,
I don't know
well,
if they're the same group as I was on that you were on, but they were very lucky in New Zealand.
No, they're an island nation, and they could cut it off before they got any of them into the country. So that's they're kind of an odd, off the wall situation. I mean, in order to get to New Zealand from here, you're talking a 15-16 hour flight. You're talking a pretty lengthy flight from Australia to New Zealand, for that matter. So they didn't have anywhere near the number of cases because they caught them as they were coming in.
But Australia was there, and they're big. I mean, and I don't know what kind of cases they had. And I recognize they're right in the southern hemisphere, and they do say that the heat might help this. I don't know. And we're just brainstorming public, just sharing with you the information we have. So I think it's important for people listening that they know how hard you guys are working on this.
Yeah, and I think everybody's in the same boat as us, Chris. I was on a different meeting last Thursday, a High Ames meeting, and there were some High Ames districts that were part of that meeting. And the director of High Ames asked each one of us kind of what our plans look like for the fall. And pretty much universally, we all said, hey, we just are kind of waiting to see if we get any direction, because it's a lot of time and a lot of planning to put plans in place that you just have to crumble up and throw in the garbage because the governor's going to tell us what it really is supposed to look like. So we're all just kind of waiting as long as we can. And, obviously we can't wait too long, but we're waiting as long as we can before we really roll up our sleeves and dig in and put all the details to the plans.
And I agree with you, because when they did the athletics, they came down with some real specific plans for our kids and coaches and everything to do. And it was kind of good to have that.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else have anything?
I will, and to Chris's, just real quick to Chris's other comment, I will say kudos to Greg Huster as well, because I leaned on him hard over the last 2 weeks as far as opening up athletics and facilities. Him and I have talked almost daily. And, I said to Greg early on, I'm going to follow your lead on this, with how you want to do this. And he came out with the crawl, walk, run model where, they've allowed the buildings to be open to individual skills training, but we wanted to make sure that we had all the protocols down outside first before we move things inside. And I love that plan, and I love that idea. So he did do a really nice job with that, and is continuing to do a really nice job with that. And I know he and Pat Bauer are working closely together about reopening the school to things like color guard, who kind of fall under that non-contact sports piece. And so they're doing a great job. I appreciate their hard work, and it's been interesting.
I can't believe how many kids are up there. It's just, to see that many kids coming up. I think parents are just like going, go do something. So this might be a real positive,
Love to build our numbers, and it looks like we are. So that's a good thing.
All right, anybody else have anything?
No.
All right, well, we have already been through to executive session, and we do not need another one. So if I could have a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Nice seeing everybody.
Yeah.
See you too.
You too.